Hello and welcome to the least flattering light in this house. Another episode of Low Tech Health. It's a forgive my foul mouth Sunday because I forgived off for 2 extra days. Forgive me, please. Really, forgive me on this foul mouth Sunday. We're wrapping up this week with a perception talk. We are looking at hospitals. We talked about healthcare and how the inpatient treatment is based heavily off of that first question that we're not really in the best mindset to answer. If your heart were to stop unsuspectedly, would you like us to restart it and put you on a breathing machine if you are unable to breathe? And if you're unable to make decisions, do you have a decision maker, or would you like to continue full treatment despite no neurological value, no neurological presentation? That's not the full. That's too much, actually. That's a lot more wound than what they actually say. They say, if your heart stops, you want us to fix that for you. Do you want us to restart it? They don't get past the thing that actually really matters is when you're not able to make decisions for yourself or your family members have to make decisions for you, would you like to continue with full treatment if there's no suspicion and there's no prognosis, there's infinitesimally small chance that you'll return to cognitive function? Do you want us to continue? Do you want us to trach you, put a trach and hole in your neck? Do you want us to put a tube in your stomach to continue feeding? Do you want us to put a tube in your bladder? I guess how it has to get in there. Yeah. Oh, the perception of hospitals and that full code status keeping you alive is very light, I feel, in the public's eye. I'd like to know, but mainly I'd like to relay why it's not light, why it's very dark, this torturing with life support. As humans become more and more devolved, because that's what's happening as we're becoming, as we deteriorate, as our body breaks down, this shell devolves. It has to. There's an idea of creation that we all start off as a rock. Like, take for example space. We all started off from a big ass star exploding. We're all the stuff of stars. Hydrogen innervates all of us, the most abundant element in the universe. And we start off as that rock, and then we become a plant life, photosynthesis. There's an idea that the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, was something separate. The mitochondrial DNA is a little different than the human DNA, so there's a connection that happens between plant or something that can derive energy and create multicellular function from light and food. And the plant becomes a fish. How does that happen? That's a leap. How does a plant become a fish? Ooh, that's a gap I don't have. But then a fish becomes an animal, and then that animal becomes a human. So as we're dying, as we're breaking down, we go from human to animal, back to plant, vegetable, and back to a rock. Which, as it is now, I'll say the majority. Yeah, I'll go out on that limb and say 51% of Americans would have their family members stay a vegetable for as long as we can because they really think that that's them. They really think that's them in that bed still. But when I press that finger bed down as hard as I can, because that's how we assess neurostatus, if you don't wake up, make eye contact, move your lips, make any sort of movement with your body, we start trying to break shit, basically, just to see if you'll have any sort of response to physical stimulation. See if you're in there. And when you're not responding to someone, it's called nail bedding, where you don't take your finger, you generally take a pin and don't break anything. No, I said that. But you press right on the nail bed. It's a very, very sensitive nerve spot. If that doesn't work, you sternal rub, because sometimes the sensation can be different in the extremities than it is in the central part of the torso. Because this is your central nervous system we're talking about. And it is up here, the idea, you don't know, the seat of the consciousness, beginning to think is the pineal gland, which is shaped like a pine cone. It is the most perfused part of the body next to the kidneys, or compared to the kidneys, second only to the kidneys, which the kidneys have to filter all the garbage we put in our body with the little amount of water that we actually drink. And that's not getting perfused. You are alive in the sense that we only have the ability to measure heartbeat as alive. That is our measurement system in its finest right now. Yeah, they have EEGs, which is an electroencephalogram, where they measure your brain waves to see if brain waves continue to function, but consciousness and brain waves are not tied. There's a lot we don't know about synapses and why the brain's muscles don't act the same in everyone. So, with that being said, the perception of your family member as a vegetable is something we have to watch constantly, 12 hours straight. And we have to keep them clean, alive, brushing their teeth, hurting them. We have to hurt them constantly because really there's a tube in their neck, which does not feel good. There's a hole in your neck that doesn't heal because we don't allow it, because we put a tube in it. So these nerve endings die, and there's a choking sensation because in order to get that tube in, we have to inflate it and keep it occluding the airway. So it's not just trying to pass air through a tunnel. It's got to be sealed shut, which feels like you're being choked from the inside. So please, folks, make your decision. Think about it. Please. I know you can't be there in a lot of places because of COVID. And I'm sorry. I wish you could be there in person to lay hands on your family member as they pass, because it's not right to not allow it, even if there's the threat of death for you or anyone else. I'm sorry. On behalf of all the hospital, everywhere right now, that you can't come lay hands on your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter. And all you have is our word. You have to take our word for it. But ask yourself, they want to be a vegetable that's turned, watered, and fed, and drained. There's no human there anymore. They've left. They've moved on. Honor your ancestors and move on too. I love you. Please forgive my foul mouth Sunday sermon.